Okay, recording has started. So we have the cultural history of India as our first unit of UGC NET syllabus. So we all know that dance is a universal language or form performed in all cultures around the world. And cultures use dance for storytelling or to express feelings or to celebrate some events. And in Hindu tradition, we have God's creation of universe as depicted as a dance. That is the sound, then rhythm, then movement, then dance. We have the Shiva dancing, the Tadditumnam. We have so many myths with, with regard to the history of origin of dance. But in an academic perspective, for learning about the cultural history of dance in India, we can divide the history into four phases. That is, we have a prehistoric and proto-historic period, and where we have the Mohenjo-daro and Harappan civilizations, the dancing girl, the cave paintings, and literary references of Vedas, and so on. Then coming to the next stage is the second century BC to 9th century AD, which marks the emergence of sculptural figures and articulation of self-conscious understanding of art. Because during that period, we have the Natya Shastra. Then moving on to the third phase, we have from 10th or 11th century AD to 18th century, we have the emergence of regional styles. Then after 18th century to contemporary India, we have all those classical dance forms and the national movements and so on. So first, let us have a look at the prehistoric and proto-historic period. As evidences from the prehistoric and proto-historic period, we have the dancing girl from Mohenjo-daro, and we have so many cave paintings from that period. And some of the major paintings are Bhimbetka cave paintings, the Ajanta cave paintings, Ellora and Elephanta caves. And as per Archaeological Survey of India, the Bhimbetka caves are the oldest. I have highlighted this because they have asked this as a question in UGC NET. So these are the major cave paintings where we have dance references or dance pictures. These cave paintings have dance references, and we have the Bhaja caves. And the Bhaja caves, hello, am I audible?
Yes, miss.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
okay,
Parayoo.
sorry. Oh, okay, okay. Actually, I was having some other disturbance. So in Bhaja caves, there is a carving where a woman playing tabla and another woman performing dance has been depicted. And as per the history, tabla is believed to be a Turco-Arab instrument. But these Bhaja caves have depicted the tabla, and they have mentioned it as Pushkar, Pushkar. Tabla has been introduced in the Bhaja caves. So
Ma'am, the
we
name of the tabla?
Pushkar, Pushkar. Tabla was known as Pushkar in India.
Ma'am, is it the name of the tabla?
Yeah, we actually in India it
Okay,
was
okay.
named as Pushkar, but tabla came from Arab countries. But we have the same picture of tabla in the Bhaja cave paintings. Then in the prehistoric period, we have so many stupas. Buddhist stupas are there, and the most important one is the Sanchi stupa. Sanchi stupa around 125 BC. Then we have the Barhat. It is 115 BC.
Tanji.
Sanchi is in Madhya Pradesh, 125 BC. Then we have the Barhat around 115 BC. Okay, all these stupas were richly decorated with dance reliefs. though they belong to the Buddhist culture, they represented dance figures. And most of the stupas are considered as the didactic form of Buddhist art. Then we have the literary evidences from Vedas in the prehistoric and proto-historic period. We have 4 Vedas, namely Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda, and Atharva Veda. And each Veda has its subdivisions. Actually, Vedas are the large body of religious texts in India, and it is composed in Vedic Sanskrit, because in Sanskrit we have 2 types of Sanskrit. One is this Vedic Sanskrit and another is the classical Sanskrit. So the compositions are a little bit different. We find so many words very different in Vedas and that we see in the classical Sanskrit literature. And these are the oldest scriptures of Hinduism, and Vedas are also known as Shruti. So we have subdivisions for each Veda. That each Veda has 4 subdivisions. The Veda is having Samhitas, Aranyakas, Brahmanas, and Upanishads. Same way, Samaveda, Yajurveda, and Atharva Veda has also got these subdivisions, in which Samhitas are mantras and benedictions. And coming to the Aranyakas, it is the text on rituals and ceremonies. Then the Brahmanas are commentaries on rituals and ceremonies. Then moving on to Upanishads, they are texts discussing about meditation and spirituality. In this, Rig Veda is considered to be the most elaborate Veda, having 10,600 verses. It is a collection of 10 books called Mandalas, Dasha Mandala. Rig Veda is a collection of 10 books. And Rig Veda is having suktas of 4 types. 4 types of suktas can be seen in Rig Veda. That is, Rishi Sukta is there, Rishi Sukta, then Devata Sukta, then Chanda Sukta, and we have Artha Sukta. Okay. And coming to the dance references in Vedas, there are beautiful similes and metaphors about dance in these Vedas. And epithets of dance have been used for Indra, Marut, Ashwini, and the Apsaras. And the most important is the Ushas, the dawn, have been described as a beautiful dancer in Rig Veda. Actually, the shloka is Adhiposhamsi vapate nutuhu iva purnute vakshaka. It is the sukta of Ushas that has got a meaning that as the dawn arrives with her beautiful color in the eastern horizon, it gladdens the heart of the living beings. Ushas is a giver of joy and happiness like a beautiful dancer. So this is how Ushas have been described in the Rigveda Sukta. Then we have so many references about Indra in Rigveda, that Indra has been taught as one who make others dance. And we have Marutta and Ashwini Devas as dancers, as described in Rigveda. And Marut is exalted as a leader of dance troops. And Ashwini Devas have danced in association with Surya. And Apsaras are consorts of Gandharvas. They are also dancers. So this is how dance have been referred in all the Vedas. And the following are the musical instruments that find mention in different Vedas. We have Karkari, that is a string instrument. Tunaba, again a string instrument. Vana, it's a lyre, plucked string instrument with 7 tones. Nali, it's a wind instrument, Dundubi, then Adambara, and Shankha. This is how these are the instruments described in the Vedas. Then moving on to the Upanishads. These are the 10 major Upanishads which have got commentaries by Adi Shankaracharya. So it is Aitariya Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad, Kenopanishad, Kathopanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad, Ishavasya Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad, and Prashnopanishad. These are considered to be very important because these are the 10 Upanishads which have the Shankara Bhashyam, or which has been detailed by Adi Shankaracharya. Okay, then next we have the epics. The major epics, Ramayana and Mahabharata. Here in Ramayana, the story will be known to all of us, and we should know the story of Ramayana. So this is how the characters are in Ramayana. We have Dasharatha, three wives, Kausalya, Kaikeyi, and Sumitra, and Rama, Bharata, Lakshmana, and Shatrughna. So I have mentioned the names of spouse because usually we find questions pick the odd one out like that. So we should know all these names. Okay. And coming to the Ramayana, we have Vatmiki as the Adi Kavi. And Ramayana consists of 24,000 shlokas in 7 cantos. Okay, we have Balakandam, Ayodhya Kandam, Aranya Kandam, Kishkinda Kandam, Sundara Kandam, Yuddha Kandam, and Uttara Kandam later added. And we have all about 500 sagas or chapters in Ramayana altogether. So you should be familiar
Ma'am, can
with
you
the.
please repeat?
Yes, sure. The 7 cantos of Ramayana is Balakandam, Ayodhya Kandam, Aranya Kandam, Kishkinda Kandam, Sundara Kandam, Yuddha Kandam, and Uttara Kandam. And there are 500 sargas or chapters altogether. Okay, should I go through the content of or the sequence of Ramayana through all cantos? Because the order is important, because you may get questions about the sequence of characters appearing in Ramayana or Mahabharata. Okay, so I will just go on through the summary of Ramayana. Okay, we have the early life of first we have the Vatmiki Narada Samvada in Balakanda. Then birth of Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata, and Shatrughna. And we have once there was a question: who prepared the yaga, Putrakameshti yaga? It is Rishyasringa. So Rishyasringa is there in Ramayana in Balakanda. Then the early life of Rama and his brothers in Ayodhya. Then education with Vasishta. Then Rama killing Tataka, Subahu. Then we have the Ahalya Moksha and wedding with Sita in Balakanda. Okay, these are the sequences coming in Balakanda. Then moving on to Ayodhya Kanda, it is the Dasharatha's decision to install Rama. Then Mandara poisons Kaikeyi. Then Kaikeyi asking for the 2 boons. And there it is there is the important shloka of Ramayana in Ayodhya Kanda. That is Ramam Dasharatham Vidhi, Mam Vidhi Janakatmaja, Ayodhyam Atavim Vidhi, Gaccha Tatra Yatha Sukham. This is the most important shloka of Ramayana, narrated by Sumitra to Lakshmana. Okay, then we have Guha, the Nishada king, paying homage to Rama. Then Bharata coming to Chitrakuta carrying his Rama sandals. Then in Aranyakanda, we have the killing of demon Virada. Then meeting of Agastya and Agastya giving Vaishnavastram to Rama. Then meeting of Jatayu and going to Panchavati. Then the episodes of Shurpanakha, Ghara, and all those Rakshasas. And Rama killing all 14 demons. Then Ravana sends Maricha. Then abduction of Sita. Jatayu attacks Ravana, and Jatayu tells Rama about Sita's abduction. This is how the Aranya Kanda has been described. Then we have the Kishkinda Kanda, where Rama and Lakshmana are moving to Shabari's ashram. Then they reach Kishkinda, Hanuman meeting Rama and showing the ornaments of Sita. And there we have the Sugriva Rama Sakhyam. Then killing of Bali, and messengers are sent to all directions, and Hanuman meets Sampati, and of course Jambavan praises Hanuman, and Hanuman departs to Lanka. All these episodes are detailed in Kishkinda Kanda. Then we have the most beautiful canto of Ramayana, that is the Sundara Kandam. In there, it begins with the Mainaka mountain coming up the sea and asking Hanuman to take rest. Then we have the Surasa. There, Vatmiki has dealt the philosophy of Garima and Lakhima through Surasa. Then we have the Simhika or Chayagrahi. Then the Lanka Lakshmi. Then Hanuman meets Vibhishana. Then he moves to Ashoka Vanika. And Hanuman drops the ring given by Rama. And he kills many demons. And Hanuman was tied and he burnt the Lanka, seeks permission to go back from Sita. Hanuman heads back to Kishkinta, and there we have the Mandodari Ravana Samvadam, and at last Vibhishana meets Rama. In Yuddha Kandam, we have Jambavan asking the monkeys Nala and Nila to construct the Setu, then set up shrine for Rameshwaram. Then Angada, the son of Sugriva, was sent as Duta. And then we have Rama arriving at Lanka for battle. Then Indrajit and Lakshmana's fight, Hanuman bringing the Sanjeevani, and Ravana on the battlefield, and Sita's Agni Pariksha, and Rama's coronation. This is how the Yuddha Kanda ends. And in Uttarakanda, we have Sita, banishing of Sita. Then Vatmiki provides shelter for Sita, birth of Lava and Kusha. Again, the Ashwamedha Yaga by Rama. And at last, Sita disappears into the Bhumi. This is how the story of Ramayana goes. Okay, now the list of words connected with dance in Ramayana. All these, we can see all these words in Ramayana. Okay, these are the words connected with dance. Then moving on to Mahabharata. Actually, it is not an easy task to brief the story of Mahabharata. Okay, before going to Mahabharata,
Ma'am?
yes.
Okay, can you please show the last slide?
Which slide, Aparna?
Ramayana dance terms
Yeah,
related to
sure.
Ramayana.
Okay. Okay. These are the words. And we have some other terms were connected to dance. We have Dasharatha mentioning about the Ganika Nritya. Ganika Nritya. And we have a scene Ramayana where Bharata had a dream where many players playing a lute and girls are dancing. And Bharata calls it as a dance with Vadya, Lasa. We can connect it as Lasya, Nataka, and Hasa. And there is the Bharadwaja, a term Bharadwaja used in Ramayana, which is the dance of Apsaras with Mridanga and Manjira. Mridanga, Manjira, it is Bharadwaja. And in Kishkinda Kanda, we can find Veena, Mridanga, and Tala. And in Sundara Kanta, we have Hanuman playing a musical instrument called Vipanji. Vipanji, it is a string instrument. And there are terms like Angahara and Nritya in Ramayana. And we have Ravana's court with so many dancers and singers. And there we can find the names of Veena, Madduka, Pataha, flute, and Mridanga. And even Valmiki describes Ravana as a patron of arts. So there are so many references about dance in Ramayana. And actually, in the beginning itself, Vasishta calls Nata, Nartaka, and courtesans all come together to perform before the commencement of Ashwamedha Yaga. And there are references that Rama and his brothers had training into dance. And Ravana is a well-known Veena player. And while the demoness Rakshasis of Ashoka Vanika, they are characterized by a dance with Arabhati Vritti, that is incorporating very vigorous movements. There are references about Arabhati Vritti in Ramayana. So these are the dance references we can find in Ramayana. And then moving on to Mahabharata, it is an epic written by Vedavyasa, which narrates the struggle between Kauravas and Pandavas, and actually it contains 2 lakh verses. And the text has probably reached its final form by the early Gupta period, and Mahabharata is known as the longest epic poem. Okay, we have 18 cantos or 18 parvas in Mahabharata. That is Adi Parvam, then Sabha Parvam, Adi Parvam, Sabha Parvam, Vana Parvam, Virata Parvam, Udyoga Parvam, Bhishma Parvam, Drona Parvam, Karna Parvam, Shalya Parvam, Sauptika Parvam, Tri Parvam, Shanti Parvam, Anushasana Parvam, Ashwamedhika Parvam, Ashramavasika Parvam, Mausala Parvam, Mahaprasthanika Parvam, and Swargarohana Parvam. Okay, these are the list of important characters in Mahabharata.
Ma'am, can you please tell a 10th and 11th Parva's name?
Yeah, 10th is Sauptika Parvam.
Ma'am, can you spell it?
Saup T-I-K,
Okay. Okay.
T-I-K, Sauptika
Okay.
Parva.
Okay.
Then we have
Sautika.
the
Okay.
yes, Sauptika, and we have the Stree Parva as the 11th Parva.
Stree Parva. Stree.
Stree
S
Parva,
T R
yes.
E. Right.
S-T-R-I, yes,
Okay.
S-T-R-I, Stree Parva.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so these are the important characters in Mahabharata.
Okay.
Then moving on to the characters and scenes associated with dance in Mahabharata, we have the Indra and Apsaras, Urvashi and Menaka, Pururavas and Tilotama, Arjuna, Subhadra, people of Yadava land, and Arjuna himself, disguised as Brihannala in Virata Parva. Arjuna also trained in music from Chitrasena, who instructed him Gita, Vadya, and Nritta. So all those concepts have been discussed in the Mahabharata. Okay, these are the dance references in Mahabharata. So all these come under the prehistoric and historic period of proto-historic period of cultural history of India. Now moving on to the second phase, that is from 2nd century BC to the 9th century AD. We have Buddhist stupas of the period, richly decorated with these cultural reliefs. These are the stupas. And most importantly, we have the Natya Shastra in the second period of cultural history of India. That is, the compilation of Natya Shastra occurs in between the second period. And in this same way, we can find Sanskrit literature of classical period, that is the Kavyas and Natakas coming with dance references in this second period of cultural history. Okay, then moving on to the third phase, that is 10th or 11th century AD to the 18th century. There, it is very important to note that self-conscious understanding of art can be seen all over India. Uh, Actually, the dance aspects have been codified into the sculpture of temples, major temples of and other dance monuments. Okay, we have Kirti Stambha of Chittor, Rajasthan, and we have the Khajuraho temple of Madhya Pradesh, then the Konark Sun temple, then Lingaraj temple, Bhubaneswar, the Jagannath temple, Brihadeshwara temple. It is Sarangapani, not sorry. The Sarangapani temple of Kumbakonam, then Nataraja temple, Chidambaram, Vrithajaleshwara temple at Tiruvannamalai. Okay, all these references, we can find cadences of movements, that is the Karanas or other dance poses, have been depicted in almost all these temples and other. Chittor is a Kirti Stamba, it is a pillar. There we can find dance cadences. All these comes in between the 11th century to 15th century. And the second half of this period, we have the tradition of maintaining temple dancers in South India. That is, the Devadasis, Isai Vellalar community were introduced to the Brihadeshwara temple during the 11th, after 11th or 12th century AD. And we have the literary works during this phase, the regional variations. We can find so many dance texts during this period. This is a list of dance text from 13th century onwards. We can find so many manuals on dance from every region of India. We have Sankita Ratnakaram of Sarangadeva, then Shringara Prakasha of Bhoja.
Ma'am, can you please zoom it?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Oh, sorry.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have Manasollasa, then Nritratnavali of Jayasenapati, Sangeeta Upanishad Sarodhara of Vachanacharya, then Sangeeta Saramrita of King Tulaja, Srihasta Muktavali of Shubhankara Kavi, Govinda Sangeeta Leela Vilasam by Bhagyachandra, Abhinaya Chandrika by Maheshwara Mahapatra, Sangeeta Damodara by Raghunatha Kavi, then Bharatarnava and Abhinaya Darpanam by Nandikeshwara, and we have Sangeeta Mallika of Muhammad Shah, Rasamanjari of Bhanudatta, Natya Darpanam of Ramachandra and Gunachandra, Balarama Bharatam by Kartika Tirunal, and Shringara Manjari by Akbar Shah. So, okay. These are the dance monuments or manuals on dance from every part of India. And this the second phase of the third period led to the formulation of different classical styles in India. That's the classical dance styles of India like Bharatanatyam, Kathakali, Manipuri, Odissi, and Kathak. All these forms developed from 1300 AD to 1800 AD. And by the end of uh, the 18th century, dance were practiced and perfected by creative artists, even during the political upheaval and lack of social patronage. Because when the Britishers came, we know the anti-Nach movement, so they wanted the arts to be taken out from the Indians. But some of the gurus practiced all these forms in their houses. So moving on to the last phase, we have the different dance styles of India were practiced by creative artists in different regions during the period of political upheaval, and temple dancing was forbidden. But the family traditions continued to practice these arts in the seclusion of their homes. Later, during the national movement, interest in dance was regained, and as a sign of national pride, various arts were developed and popularized. So, now I have just summarized the cultural history of India. Hope you understood. Though I have moved a little faster. Is there any doubts?
Ma'am, it was very clear,
Okay.
but uh, see, I have a problem like I'll forget soon. Is there a chance of sharing the notes?
Sure, sure. Definitely, I will share you the class recordings so you can
Okay.
revise all these
Oh,
points.
thank you.
Okay, actually, I have made this PPT with respect to the previous year question paper. So uh, uh, I have omitted some topics because it is not easy to elaborate all those topics. So definitely, I will be going with the Chilapatikaram, the content and summary of Chilapatikaram, and Bhakti movement, maybe in next class. Okay, now I have just mentioned about the cultural history of India. Okay, what all topics you have to focus for the UGC NET. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
any other queries?
Ma'am, can we get the PPT for reference?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you.
These topics will be clear, but moving on to some other topics, we should have discussions. Okay. Usually, I used to
Yes, ma'am.
prefer having discussions. Then only it will be more interesting for us. Okay. വേറെ ആരെങ്കിലും ഉണ്ടോ? Aye. So, is that okay?
Yes, it's okay.
Okay. Actually, I'm not able to see
Morning.
anyone, but otherwise I can catch from your faces. But now I'm not able to see anyone. Okay.
Okay, may I ask you some questions, ma'am?
Yes, Aparna. Sure.
Okay, ma'am. You have told about Upanishads and different type of Upanishads
Yes,
and all.
yes.
And I have to know one thing. Are there any dance of Upanishads and any particular Upanishad is explaining about dance and all?
No, actually, Upanishads are the end products of Vedas. There we have a lot of philosophies in connection with the dance aspects, because while going with the dance aesthetics, we can get references, because Upanishads have not directly mentioned about dance, but we can relate those philosophies mentioned in Upanishads during while discussing about the aesthetics of dance. Actually, Upanishads are called as Vedantas, the end products of Vedas. So there we can find a lot of
Okay.
mm, what we call the eternal bliss, that is the Parabrahmananda.
Uh,
All those terms
Actually,
can be seen it while
any
dealing with the dance
subdivisions?
aesthetic. Usually we don't find
Okay.
questions from Upanishads. That's why I have just mentioned the names of Upanishads. I haven't seen more questions from
No,
Upanishads.
thank you.
Actually, dance people don't find interest in learning all these philosophies of Upanishads and Brahmanas. They are highly philosophical. If you are interested, you can get a lot of books. Okay. So I will just mention some books because at this time it is very difficult to get those books, but still you can continue reading. We have Kapalaji's Kapilavatsyan's Indian Classical Dance, detailing about these topics. And we have a book by G.S. Hegde. It is Indian dance, history of Indian dance in classical Sanskrit literature. Then we have Mantakranta Bose, Speaking of Dance. Then these are these are some of the major books where you can find these topics. Okay, actually Kapilaji's book is the best one. Okay, so today I will be giving you a small assignment that is I'll be sharing an online link for an online exam through just a Google form. You will have time up to morning tomorrow morning 10 a.m. So please attend all the questions, and it is mandatory. And please don't Google for the answers. Just try to answer. Don't bother about your score. I won't disclose it here, but you should attend all the questions. It is just a mock test. You have to be familiar with the questions. That's why. So don't bother about your scores. Whatever score you get is good. Just we have started. You have to be familiar with the questions. That's why I will be providing the questions. Okay. It is compulsory that you attend all the questions and all the exams throughout our crash course. Okay. Definitely, we will be discussing the answers tomorrow. You can find the answers while you click the questions. Still, we can discuss, because you may get questions from the areas which I have not discussed. You may find questions from Southeast Asian arts. You may find questions from Natyashastra. you may find questions from Indian classical dance. Just go on. Just let's check what we know. Okay. Any other questions?
How many questions, ma'am?
Yes, Deepa. Okay. I can see only see Anjali and Bhavya.
No, I'm just asking how many questions will be there, ma'am,
There will be 50 questions.
from first chapter.
Not first chapter, you will get questions from
During this
all the
part.
10 units. Okay.
No, no, for tomorrow, sir.
Yeah. Don't bother about the topics. Just attend the questions. Okay.
Okay, okay.
Uh,
Yes,
I'm
sure.
sure by the fourth or fifth day, you all of you will be okay with the questions. Maybe today you will find it very difficult to answer those questions. Still, just try to attend what you know. But all the questions are mandatory. You have to click some answer. Okay.
Inky Pinky Ponky.
Yes, that's all. Because we have all MCQs for UGC net. While I was writing in 2000, then the third paper was descriptive one. So we don't have descriptive papers now. We have to inky pinky. Okay.
Ma'am. Sure, sure.
Any other questions? Otherwise, I think we can wind up today's class. I think